What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Back to Me podcast with your host, Aidan O'Brien. Today, we have a very interesting episode, I think, that will relate to a lot of people, that will connect with a lot of people. The title of the podcast, obviously, is Why I Stopped Drinking Coffee and Why You Should Too. So we are going to dive into that. I want to give you some insights. Maybe by the end of this episode, you'll never look at coffee again the same, maybe. Or maybe nothing will change. Both outcomes are possible. First thing, I want to update you guys with a bit of news on, if you've been here for a while, you know about the Back to Me book. It's been in process for a little bit, about a year and a half, almost 2 years. 90% of that book was written a year and a half ago. It was written very fast, like I knew it would be. There's just a couple of sections. I suppose I was personally struggling to find the words, which is hard to believe that I would not be able to find the words. I know you're thinking, how is that possible? But it is possible. It's not even how could I find the words. It was finding the right words, and the words I'd feel comfortable putting out to the world. So there's a couple of chapters towards the end where things get a bit interesting and we go maybe even deeper than we normally go. And you know we like to go deep here and Back to Me. So I will do an episode at the end of or after the book comes out, I should say, to really explain everything and break it down. But the good news is we're almost there. So it's actually 99% finished being written. Now I'm just kind of proofreading it myself. I had some other people proofread it and the feedback was incredible. And I'm just kind of taking out some last bits and adding in a couple of last bits. So I'm really excited about it, actually. It's like I've said this before and I'll say it again. I'm literally between two places with this book. One place is like Oprah is going to read this book on her Oprah Winfrey Book Club and tell the world she's going to love it. Like, that's one possibility, this book is going to be a game changer. Like The Alchemist, Paulo Coelho, The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle, they won't get a look in it Back to Me. Like, that's one place we're going. And the other one is, this is total nonsense that nobody's going to read at all. And they're going to say, what was the fuss? So they're the two poles. There's literally no in between. And I go back and forth. Like even today, I was going over proofreading this morning and doing a bit of editing. One moment I'm like, I can't be listening to myself. And then 5 minutes later, I'm like, wow, the world needs to hear this. This is a game changer for so many people. This can impact so many people. It can guide people, support people. And I know it can already because I've been coaching the Back to Me principle for almost 2 years now, a year and a half. So I know for a fact it's valuable and transformational, but it's interesting. You might find it interesting that I still even have to deal with these challenges to navigate the journey. When I speak, it's one thing, the words fade into the ether, but writing a book is a different thing. So just a bit of transparency and truth there for you. But the good news is it's coming. So once I finish, I think by the beginning of next week with my edits, then I'll be sending it to the publisher. So that means it could be very, very soon, the Back to Me book. And that would be nice. I'll be so happy once it's out, honestly. I'll be so happy. Because again, I'm writing it because it's my phraseology for the last few years, and I want that with my name on it. So people know this is what Aidan said, and Aidan said that, my words. Because I don't quote other people as much as I quote myself now. So I want that written down for whatever, that's good or bad, I don't know, but I think it's good. That's my piece of history. Secondly, I want to capture I wrote it to capture where I was in that journey when I had that big shift in awareness and that self-proclaimed awakening away from mainstream development into the simpler Back to Me approach. So I'm really excited to share that book with you guys. And, I said I'm not writing it to sell it. I wrote it because I wanted to capture my words. I wanted to capture that time. And also the third reason is to give back to you guys and my clients. I coach so many people all over the world. I speak at so many events, and it'll be such a nice addition. It'll be such a nice thing for me to say, here's my book as well, after an event or to a client. I'll be really excited for that. So anyway, that's the book coming soon. Back to Me. Stay tuned. If you're interested in that book, let me know. Okay. As always, in the description, you can see my Instagram, you can see my email. If you're interested in that book and you want to be down on that list, let me know so you can be the first person to hear when it is out. Let's get into today's topic. Today's topic is why I stopped drinking coffee. And it's very interesting, and I'll tell you why. And it's going to make sense very quickly, actually, I would hope, especially if you've been listening to this podcast for a while. I love coffee. Like I absolutely love coffee. And I went through phases where it used to be a latte years ago. It was always a latte. I love a latte, I love a latte, I love a latte. And I remember when I was living in Miami, 2019, 2020, I was having a latte every day. And sometimes I'd have a second latte. And I remember one day I discovered how much sugar was in the latte. And I was shocked because I thought it's only coffee and a bit of milk. But I had no idea the amount, or maybe I was in denial about the amount of sugar in the milk. So then I switched from latte to black coffee. I was like, just go Americano. It's clean, it's manly, it's the right thing to drink, you know. So that's what I've been drinking for the last number of years. Just black coffee, just Americano. And the same thing would happen. I generally only have a coffee a day, but sometimes I get excited, I have two. Now I know that's mild for some of you. Some of you guys out there having 5 or 6 coffees a day, easy. I used to coach someone years ago, and I swear to God, she had 35 cups of coffee a day. 35 cups of coffee. That's what she had every single day. She was immune to it. It messed up her whole system. So I know there's people, she was a hairdresser, needless to say. There's a lot of hairdressers who have 20 cups of coffee a day, right? But I know a lot of you, 2 cups is nothing. But for me, the reason, you know, why I stopped drinking coffee, the reason why, what I do, I'll explain why I do in a second. But I do this thing twice a year, at least, where I say no to coffee. I've been doing it for the last couple of years because of that realization that this coffee actually owns me. Meaning I can't wait for morning to have my coffee. Like I love it. And you might say it's just a reward. It's a nice thing to treat yourself. There's no real downside, even though there is potentially downside. A lot of positive studies on coffee, a lot of positive benefits, you know, for people on coffee, with coffee. But for me, it was owning me. Even though it was 1 or 2 cups a day, I needed that coffee. And you know, I always tell you guys, we don't need anything. And we don't. But I wanted it really badly. Like I just enjoy the flavor. Like someone who's now, especially the last year and a half when I couldn't run, right? And I used to always love going for my run and then having my coffee after, but I haven't been able to run because of the injury. So at least let me have the coffee, right? If I can't run, at least let me have the coffee. It's like my treat. And I don't drink that much anymore. Not that I ever did, but when we went out, we did it in style, as the all Irish, any Irish here will know. When we go out, we do it well. But for the last couple of years, because I enjoyed getting up earlier, running in the morning, training in the morning, I just enjoyed other things in life. I wasn't drinking as much. Like coffee was my treat, essentially. But I became dependent on it. And I think a lot of us are medicating with coffee. I think most of us. And for me, twice a year, I'd just stop drinking coffee. I'd say, I don't want something else being the boss of me. Now, I became an entrepreneur in 2010 at 26, 25 years old because I didn't want anyone being in charge of me. I never wanted anybody in charge of me. Even at school, I hated school, which you'll read about in the book as well. But I absolutely hated it because the people, actually, that I went to the wrong school. But I didn't like anyone being in charge of me, and especially acting like they were in charge of me and being powerless and helpless. I always liked my autonomy, my liberty, my freedom. And coffee had power over me, and it still has power over me to a certain degree. Now, I stopped drinking coffee for 12 weeks. So when I work with clients, I work in seasons. It's hard to do something all ongoing with no end line. That's why most people give up on their New Year's resolutions. That's one of the many reasons. It's one of the many reasons people don't perform at a high level consistently. It's another reason why people lack intensity because they're trying to draw it out too long. So with my clients, we work in 30, 60, 90-day seasons where we focus on a task or a challenge or a focus for 60 days, 90 days, or at very least 30 days. So for me, usually I go off coffee twice a year for 30 days or 60 days. And this time I was like, I'm going to go for 90 days. Now, at the same time, I also cut out processed food and I went on more of a meat-based diet. So it was mostly beef, bacon, eggs, more or less. That was my diet also for 10 weeks. So I did 10 weeks because I stopped drinking coffee first. And then after a week or two, I stopped eating all the processed food and went very low carb and mostly meat. I love meat. And the more research I do on meat, the more research. And I've, in 2006, 7, 8, I used to run gyms. I used to be a personal trainer. I used to teach seminars on cruise ships on health and wellness. I've been in the game, nutrition, exercise, health and wellness for a long time. So I know a lot about it. I know a little about it, but I know a lot about it, if you know what I mean. So I'm always studying, researching food, nutrition, always looking for advantages for the body, for the mind. That's just who I am. And as I said, twice a year, I want to show my body that I'm the boss, right? So the coffee was one thing, but the food is a big thing as well. I noticed like I had a habit when you work for yourself, you've more free time. I noticed I had instincts to go and just grab food. Again, you often heard about boredom as a big reason why people eat. Either they're thirsty, they're not hungry, or they're bored, they're not hungry. And for me, I wouldn't even necessarily say it's boredom, but it's just filling the space. And also because of the injury and frustration, I noticed I was more loose with my food choices, and I wasn't feeling good, to be honest. So I decided to go meat only diet and coffee at the same time. It turns out that's the absolute best way to do it. And the reason being, oftentimes we crave coffee because of a dip in energy, because of a lull, because of a low, because we're a sugar crash, or because we didn't sleep well and we want that boost from the coffee. Okay. When you cut out processed food and you cut out sugar and you cut out carbohydrates, the energy is so stable. Like, it's insane. There is just no dip. There is just solid energy all throughout the day. There's no mood swings like from food like you'd normally have after you have a big meal or you have a big sugary breakfast. It doesn't exist. The energy is solid. There's no hunger. At first few weeks, it was a challenge to eat enough, actually, because I was training hard and I just wasn't hungry because my body was burning fat for fuel, and I had plenty of fat there for my body to burn. There's still plenty of fat there. I won't run out of fuel for a long time. I could stop eating for a few months or years, I'd say, and I'd be good. There's plenty coal in the stove here to keep us going, right? So that made it even easier. Now you'd think, oh, that's a lot to do at once, but it actually made it easier. So if you are going to do this at the end, I would also encourage you to cut out sugar and processed foods and reduce carbohydrates as well, because the natural energy you'll have will help you maintain. I had zero craving for coffee. I didn't even have green tea, and I was going to allow myself to have a green tea if I wanted. I had no desire for tea at all, because just water, I had some electrolytes, and I was just eating beef and eggs, steak and eggs, meatballs, burgers, grass-fed New Zealand meat. Delicious. And if you follow me on Instagram, you see I'm always sharing the meat. That's what I'm eating. Okay? So the reason, again, why are we doing this? I go off coffee twice a year because I don't want coffee to own me. I don't want anything to own me. And for me, I always talk about awareness. I want to understand my relationship with something. And I know when I get stressed, which I do, I get stressed. I have a busy mind because of lots of things going on. I think about my clients. I think about my events. I think about the book. I think about my podcast. I think about my fiance. I think about my family. I think about how can I over deliver. I think how can I be more creative. I think how can I produce a new product. How can I grow my business. How can I grow other people's business, and so on and so on and so on. I have a million things in my head like everybody. And for me, I like to understand my relationship with things. If I feel crappy, do I reach for something sweet? Do I want that coffee as a reward? Is it unconscious? Is it a craving? I don't want anything to own me. Now, the thing is, it happens frequently where things will own me for a while, like with coffee, like with food. But it's having the awareness to catch, to be honest with yourself, to be truthful, to say, what's my relationship with this food here? What's my relationship with the coffee? So I want you to think about that. Maybe pause it here and reflect on that, or at the end of the episode, just reflect on that. What is my relationship with coffee? What is my relationship with food? And then you have to ask yourself, do I want this relationship to continue? Is it a healthy relationship? We're doing a dating relationship podcast about you and coffee right now, guys. Right? Now, you probably do it with alcohol already. And then when you gain a bit of weight and you feel unhealthy and you feel crappy, you probably do it with food. But you might think, oh, coffee's coffee. It's okay. But coffee's not always coffee. Like for me, I love coffee on an empty stomach as well, first thing in the morning. But if I have that second coffee, sometimes I get a bit shaky. The head gets a bit shaky. It's almost like an anxiousness and an uneasiness comes. Not all the time. And that's what's dangerous about it. Most of the time it's fine. And then suddenly one day it'll just come and I'll be like, what was that? And my body reacts to it. And I'm like, I don't like that. Okay. So for me, it's about observing your relationship with something. Now, at the end of the 12 weeks, again, I didn't have any coffee. I didn't have any craving for coffee, but I was thinking, I'm going to try a little bit more, a little bit again. And what I noticed was most of the coffee I didn't like the taste. Now, even sometimes when you're having black coffee in Americano, it doesn't taste great. Sometimes, I'm very picky about the coffee I like, which you become a coffee snob if you drink coffee a lot, especially Americano or espresso. But when you're drinking a latte, it's milk and sugar. And for me, when I have a sip of a latte, it's so milky, even a cappuccino. So anyway, I didn't like the taste when I started drinking them back, but then I found slowly, again, one or two I liked. So out here in Dubai, there's Arabica. I like that coffee. They have a Guatemala. It's beautiful. I'm craving coffee now just thinking about it. The Cafe Nero coffee. I like that sometimes. Some I used to like Starbucks, but after the Americano, but after I went off it, I couldn't even have a taste. I was like, oh, I don't like that at all. Same with Costa. I used to like Costa, and then after I tried it, and no. So I did start drinking coffee again after the 12 weeks. I'm currently in a coffee cycle. It took a few weeks to get back into it. At first, I was just having one, and a few days later, I'd have another one because I wasn't really liking the taste. But then I started the old relationship feelings. You know, when you end a relationship and then you start to imagine it again, or then you start maybe seeing that person again, and some of the old stuff comes back, and you're like, "Ooh, this might be good this time," but you know it's not. You know it's dangerous to go back down that road. And it's the same with coffee. And I'm back with coffee, and it's interesting. I'm aware of it. I notice I'm enjoying it every morning again. I notice I'm looking forward to it. But again, I'm observing. Do I want to reduce it again? Potentially. I think so. Maybe every couple of days or on the weekend, make it more of a reward. I believe we can condition ourselves to earn things. I think once we earn something, our body feels better about it, our brain feels better about it, and we appreciate it more consciously, unconsciously. So also with the carbs, I kind of did I call it a mental reset, just to because you just miss. Like for me again, and my fiance will tell you this. For the 3 months, I was good. I mean, I went to Paris. I was just eating steak every day. It wasn't even hard. You know, went out for her birthday. I just had a steak. It's beautiful, simple, easy. Most days here, dinner is just two steaks or a couple of meatballs or burgers or mince, or breakfast is steak and eggs or beef and eggs. It's a beautiful diet, guys. I'm telling you. Some of you guys are thinking, "Oh my God, cholesterol. Oh my God, saturated fat." As the more you dive into this and you research food and nutrition and just the world in general, like I always knew they lied to us, right? But they really lied to us. Like they've been lying to us about a lot of things. Like we're still being lied to. I promise you. I promise you. I'm not going to say more than that. Just go and do your own research. Like I was literally watching a couple hours a day of listening to books, reading books, watching videos, just studying um, nutrition, food, health, the body, everything. I've been doing it for years. But now when I was in this 12-week phase, I was just really consuming. When I'm in a season, I like to consume a lot of information around that. I believe we have to immerse ourselves. That's why with my clients as well, we immerse ourselves for that 3, 4, 5 months, because you are like some of my programs are a year, but we'll still do a 60, 90-day season within that year. You have to immerse yourself in that. So again, guys, this is something I just want to pique your interest. I just want to get you to ask the question: what's my relationship with food? What's my relationship with coffee? You can do it for alcohol. You can do it for everything. You can do it for drugs if you're on drugs. I hope you're not. You can do it with medication. Now, some of it you might need, some of it you may not need. You've just not questioned anymore. You've just been taking it for a long time. Disclaimer, I'm not telling you to stop taking any medication. But everything that you're consuming that you think you need, I want you to question. Especially food, coffee, things like that. Obviously, medication has a purpose, has a reason. But are you just being lazy and not being healthy and not moving your ass? Potentially, okay? So what do we think about that? Let me know below. Let me know if you're watching this on YouTube. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on this. If you're on Spotify, you can comment. You can let me know on Instagram at Aidan O'Brien Official. Are you going to give up coffee? Are you willing to do it? Do you think you need to give up coffee? So here's what I would say if you do. If you think, yeah, I'd like to, I think coffee owns me. Now, some of you are thinking, Aidan, some of you stop listening already. You're like, fuck that. Excuse my language. My brother, he'd say, not a hope in hell. There's no way. And he drinks a couple of cups a day. But I'm telling you, coffee, it's a stimulant. It can mess up your adrenals. It creates cortisol spikes, a stress hormone. It's not all roses with coffee. I know there's a lot of good research on it, but it's also can be mold on some of the beans where the beans are coming from. There can be mold. It can be really not suitable for some people with their gut health as well, with their mental health as well. If you're easily, some people get real jitters and everything with it. Like I said, no, I don't generally, but if I have sometimes that second cup, or if maybe if it's, really fasting a lot and I have it, I start to feel it. And I notice this, and it's not great. Even the thoughts that come into my mind are different thoughts, because there's a level up in terms of, again, anxiousness is a lot is a phrase, it's not the best word, but that's what I can kind of link it to closely. Anxiety, edginess, almost like a rushed feeling. You know what I mean? Like you're kind of being rushed within. It's like within yourself, there's like a increase in pace, which is a stimulant. That's what it is. So if you're deciding to do it and you want to give it up for 30 days or 90 days or 60 days or whatever you want to do, I would start with 30 days. I would start with 30 days. I would say you can do anything for 30 days. You can give up sugar for 30 days. You can go low carb for 30 days. You can go no coffee for 30 days. You can go no Netflix for 30 days. You can go no TikTok for 30 days. You can go no chocolate for 30 days. You can go no complaining. Maybe you can't stop complaining. Complaining is hard, isn't it? We always complain. Even if we don't think we're complaining, we're complaining. But you can do it for 30 days. And I'd love to challenge you to do the no coffee for 30 days, because I want you to understand the relationship that you have with coffee. And I want you to feel a sense of freedom, that nothing owns you. I want you to feel nothing owns me. I'm in control. I'm the boss of me. That's why I did it. That's why I do it a couple of times a year. I'm the boss of me. I've been doing it for years. I'm the boss of me. And you can go back, but if you go back, you'll have a better relationship. And what I noticed over the 3 months, and again, I did this at the beginning of the year as well. I did it at the end of last year. I went no coffee and I went keto or low carnivore as well at the end of last year. I noticed my relationship with food. I noticed how much unnecessary food we eat. Like when you go carnivore or keto or low carb, you'll notice you eat so much less food and you have more energy. It's crazy. And it shows you all the food you think you need, you don't. You're just conditioned to need it, and you're being controlled by your blood sugar. You're being controlled by insulin. Okay, you're being controlled by hormones. Okay? You might have heard of leptin, ghrelin, all these different hormones. Everything has an insulin. It all have a massive effect on you. You're being run, they're controlling you. And also the bacteria, like the bacteria in the gut. There's research that you won't see mainstream anywhere unless you dive into it. But there's research in the last 2 months that's come out that shows the healthy best bacteria in your gut feed off protein and fat. And the so-called bad bacteria, the opportunistic bacteria, feed off carbohydrates and sugar. So literally the bacteria in your gut, and that talks to you. I remember I was comforted a few years ago when I found that out, that the bacteria, when you cut out sugar and you've been addicted to sugar, you're having a lot of sugar, the bacteria is saying, bro, go get some sugar. You're going to feel way better with some sugar, man. Go get some sugar, dude. Get some sugar right now. Magnum ice cream. Don't get the stick. Get the tub, bro. You deserve the tub. Do you know how hard you're working? Do you know how you're impacting the world? You deserve a full tub of Magnum ice cream. And I listen to that bacteria. Get the full pizza. Get 2 pizzas, because if you get one, you have to share with herself, and then that's not enough for you. You're a big boy. Get 2 pizzas. She'll have 1 or 2 slices. You have the rest. Beautiful. That's the bacteria. That wasn't Aidan. That was the bacteria, and that's your bacteria too. How great. Let's celebrate that. That's not you. It's your bacteria. And just, hashtag my bacteria is talking to me. Let me know if you're up for doing a challenge like this. Let me know if you're addicted to coffee. Let me know if you're addicted to food. Let me know if you feel like coffee owns me. I medicate. Most people medicate with coffee. They're miserable without it. Wouldn't it be nice that you're not miserable without coffee? Wouldn't it be nice that you're the boss, that you feel good? Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't it be nice that you don't need the coffee, that you have it when you want it? Wouldn't it be nice if you're even 25, 35, 45 years old, that you realize I can still surprise myself? I can still be in control. I'm the leader of me. I'm in charge of my body. I'm the boss of my mind. Let me tell you, it gives you confidence. It gives you self-reliance. It gives you strength of character. You become more self-reliant because you start to think, I can trust myself. If I decide to do something, I'll do it. People lose confidence because they're breaking promises to themselves over and over again. We're all guilty of it. So that's it for today's podcast, guys. If you like it, let me know. Give a rating. Let me know on Instagram if you like the podcast. Please share a story on your Instagram and tag me, and take a screenshot of this podcast that you're listening to and share it, because that's going to help the podcast grow. I'm unapologetically going to ask you to help this podcast grow because it's free. I believe it's valuable to you, and I believe it'll be valuable to others as well. So give it a share, give it a 5-star rating, and yeah, I love to hear from you. That's it for today's episode. Back to Me Business Podcast will be out very shortly as well. Probably within a week, 10 days max after this podcast is up, you will see the Back to Me Business Podcast. So if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a business owner, also if you're a leader and you're an ambitious career professional, you like making money, you like being in business, you like performing at a high level, make sure you check out the Back to Me Business Podcast as well. Also, jump over to my YouTube channel. It's linked below. We're going to start building up the YouTube channel now more and more. All these podcasts are on the YouTube channel. There is already a Back to Me YouTube channel as well, by the way. So maybe you don't want to listen to iTunes or Spotify, but it was Aidan O'Brien YouTube channel. It's at Aidan O'Brien Official as well. Check that out. Like, subscribe. We're going to put out a lot of content over the next few months to help you transform your life personally and professionally. And I can't wait to play a small part in that journey with you. So I will talk to you guys very soon. Let me know about the coffee. Talk to you soon.